Good afternoon. It is 1 p.m. here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, and this is the Ambassador where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. I am your Ambassador Susan Nganga. We begin this bulletin in Seychelles, where elections is heading to a runoff after no candidate secured a majority. Opposition leader Patrick Khamenei leads with 48.8%, while incumbent President Wavel Ramalkalawan trades closely at 46.4%. A candidate needs to win more than 50% of the vote to be declared the winner. Khamenei hopes to return the United Seychelles Party to power after its 2020 defeat. Ramalkalawan is seeking a second term, campaigning on economic recovery and sustainable development. The island nation, known for luxury tourism, remains one of Africa's richest by GDP per capita. The upcoming vote will be crucial in shaping its political and economic direction. The country's electoral authority confirmed that a second round will be held, though the date has yet to be announced. And more on election. The battle for Cameroon's top seat is heating up as the country heads towards a high-stake presidential election on October the 12th. At 92, President Paul Biya is seeking a record-breaking 8th term, while opposition forces scramble to unite behind a single candidate. With shifting alliances and rising youth voices, this could be the most decisive vote in decades. Let's take a listen.
Cameroon's presidential race is underway, with the election set for October 12th. Long-term leader President Paul Biya, now 92, is seeking an 8th term after 43 years in power. His former ally Bello Buba Maigara launched his campaign in Douala, urging supporters to guide the vote and reject fraud.
Surveiller le dépouillement des votes.
Monitor the vote counting process. Reject any fraud. Don't let your victory be stolen. Real change will come from the people, and no one will be able to stop it if you stand as its guardian.
Maigara has formed a coalition with two ex-candidates as pressure builds for the opposition to unite. Talks continue around teaming up with fellow frontrunner Issa Chiroma Bakari, but no clear consensus has emerged on who should lead. Meanwhile, youthful energy surrounds 45-year-old Cabral Libby, a popular voice among young voters.
Together we will succeed, as Libby said, and we want a new person as head of state, because since I was born, I have only known one president. For once we need someone new, a new person like Cabral. That's why I support him. I support his initiative.
With 8 million registered to vote, this election could mark a turning point, either towards new leadership or a continuation of President Paul Biya's long rule. Elvis Muyodi, GBS News.
And now on updates on the Russian-Ukraine war. Russia launched a barrage of drones and missiles on Ukraine overnight into Sunday, killing at least 4 people, with Kyiv suffering the heaviest attack. This is the first major bombardment since an airstrike on Kyiv last month, which left at least 21 people dead. The attack coincided with the conclusion of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, as Ukrainian President Zelensky called for help from world leaders. Let's take a listen. Black Township, Michigan, when the 40-year-old suspect Thomas Jacob Sanford drove his vehicle into the church and opened fire with an assault rifle during a Sunday service attended by hundreds, and said the church
missiles and hundreds of drones, and that its anti-aircraft system intercepted many of them, but not all. Fighting the fires comes with the risk of secondary strike on the same targets. At sunrise, there were still drones in the sky. Officials in the eastern city of Zaporizhzhia say more than 40 apartment buildings were hit. Dozens of civilians were injured.
I went to the room to take my mobile phone, and an explosion followed. My head, chest, hands. I was injured by glass shards.
The Ukrainian military says most of the drones and rockets were aimed at Kyiv. When one of them hit the building, the sleeping 12-year-old child who was inside doesn't stand a chance. The victim below said her sister just next door survived the blast, but inhaled smoke in the fire, that she is in intensive care.
I'm trying to contain myself. It won't help if I cry. Despite everything, at least my family is still intact and alive, because the girl on the third floor actually died.
The attack lasted 12 hours. It's one of the longest since Russia's full-scale invasion began. Lana Rika hopes plastic sheet will keep out of the worsening weather. She says her family has lived here since they fled shelling by pro-Russia forces in the Luhansk region in 2014.
It's not normal. How can they just simply kill peaceful civilians? It's terrible. We've been in this state for 11 years, and I think it's the fault of one man, Putin, and they're all spellbound by him.
Thousands have been killed in airstrikes in the residential areas. Russia's defense military has said it targeted military sites. It denies targeting civilians. That's no comfort for the people here. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Paul M. Minor.
And now to an update in the Michigan church shooting. At least 4 people were killed and 8 others injured after a gunman drove a vehicle into Michigan church, opened fire, and set the building ablaze before being killed himself. Police say officials say the attack on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, a town 60 miles northwest of Detroit, happened during a Sunday service attended by hundreds of people. The suspect, identified as Thomas Jacob Sanford, who is currently 40 years old, from Barton, Michigan, was shot dead by police in the building's car park. Let's have a listen. All in the Michigan church shooting and arson attack has risen to 4 victims, excluding the suspect.
I have a couple updates for you. There is a couple additional bodies that we've discovered in the church. So that makes our total victim count up to 4 victims. As I said before, there has already been the suspect who is deceased as well. So we have 5 deceased persons from this tragic incident.
The incident occurred at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan, when the 40-year-old suspect, Thomas Jacob Sanford, drove his vehicle into the church and opened fire with an assault rifle during a Sunday service attended by hundreds and set the church on fire using an accelerant believed to be gasoline. 8 others were injured, with some in critical condition. Sanford, a veteran of the Marine Corps, was shot dead by police at the scene.
Law enforcement, again, we were on scene within 30 seconds from that original 911 call. Within 8 minutes, that suspect was neutralized in the back parking lot of the church by a DNR officer and a Grand Blanc Township officer.
Authorities are treating the attack as a targeted act of violence, although the motive remains unclear.
The FBI is committed to continue finding out the facts, circumstances, and motives behind this tragedy. I can confirm at this time that the FBI is now leading the investigation and is investigating this as an act of targeted violence.
The church suffered extensive fire damage, and rescue teams continue to search for victims in the rubble. Additionally, several improvised explosive devices were found at the scene, but it is not yet confirmed if they were involved in starting the fire. The governor of Michigan, state police, and federal officials condemned the attack, and the church has asked for prayers and healing for those affected. The investigation is ongoing as officials continue clearing the church and examining evidence. Susan Nganga, GBS News. The ambassador will take a short break. We'll be right back with even more as we continue to debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. Stay tuned.
The best thing is that you can make something for yourself. May I just say that? Like, you can just let your mind be creative. You're not limiting it, and you create something, and every time I make something, I just look at it and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Only mini I even know. I just be like that. Yes.
And what do you think is required for someone to make it in the fashion industry? So umekuja na mapochopocho. You've come with like really amazing things. Utatuanzia na answer from the front kuja to the back.
Okay. That is something when you look at it like this, you'll have to sit down and figure it out. Like, how did this person make this wallet? You see, this is art. You can also create yarn from like t-shirts. Yes. So that's what I'm trying to change. I want to create sustainable fashion where you don't have to go and buy yarn to crochet. You can just create yarn at your space, or you can go and thrift clothes made of yarn.
Yeah.
Hi kids, welcome to Kids Mind, where we learn, we laugh, and we explore. So kids, are you ready to listen to our today's Bible story? Are you ready to listen?
You're happy and you know, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands.
Samson was a mighty man, a mighty man was he. Samson was a mighty man, a mighty man was he. Samson was a mighty man, a mighty man was he. Between a want or a need, which one is more wise?
So it's anime and cosplay in Kenya.
I came to know about anime when I was a teenager, because that's when I knew, oh, it's not a cartoon, it's an anime. And I came to realize, oh, it's a whole thing, and it's a whole culture, and it's a whole community behind it.
I remember I used to watch Dragon Ball Z, but that time I didn't know it was
anime.
I thought it was a cartoon. Let me go watch cartoon.
Anime has been there, it's just growing with time, and people are getting to know more about it.
This has been going on since 2016. Like, people have been meeting up for anime and DC, whatever nerdism you engage in since 2016.
Cosplay, basically, what it says is costume
role play.
Yeah, so you dress up as a character from an anime, and that's just it.
So character likeness, how much do you look like the character?
Some parents see anime as just cartoons.
You're like them,
which is true. What's your take on this perception?
Hizo cartoons zako zenye unawatch.
Me doesn't bother me at all. Most of the most popular anime we enjoy today, Jujutsu Kaisen, is for kids. Naruto is for kids. One Piece is for kids. So yeah, it's never bothered me when people are like, anime is for kids, anime is cartoons. I say this as someone who's been watching anime for 15 years. Anime is cartoons.
World Marathon. Bro, hapa sasa ndio kuna maneno. Una feel nini mbaya na Manyala? Juu bro anadefeatiwa man. Hiyo Manyala sio Manyala.
Hakuna kitu Manchester inawafanyia sasa. Mwekezaji kama vile last time niliwaambia, Ekeni Arsenal kichwa. Ekeni Arsenal 1.5. Ekeni Arsenal first team to score.
I have been fencing for the last 1.5 years now. Fencing in age. You can start as early as at a very young age, and you can also play at a very old age.
Kuna pale mshari kusema Kenya tunasema.
Game yenye nilienda last ilikuwa junior championship na ilikuwa Angola.
Fencing is a sword sport, but we don't call it a sword, we call it a blade.
Ili kujua mengi, jiunge nami Omala Brian kwenye GBS TV Sports Sugu Show. This is where passion meets the game.
Everywhere, GBS. Welcome back to the bulletin, and now hundreds of young protesters clashed with police in Lima on Sunday night. The demonstrators, identifying as Generation Z, marched towards Congress demanding action on rising violence, extortion, and murders. Police responded with tear gas and rubber bullets, while protesters threw stones and fireworks. At least 19 people are injured, including a journalist and a police officers. The protest follows week of growing frustration over government silence. President Dina and Congress face criticism for failing to address public safety. Organizers say more demonstrations are currently being planned. United Nations sanctions on Iran have officially returned following failed nuclear talks with Western powers. The snapback measures took effect at midnight, sparking fear among Tehran residents and pressure on the local currency. Ibrahim Said brings us that story.
The sanctions were first lifted in 2015 under a deal between Iran and world powers. But after months of failed negotiations over Iran's nuclear and missile programs, Britain, Germany and France activated the snapback clause in August that triggered a 30-day window for diplomacy, which ended without agreement.
We are worried. Yes, we're worried because our children's future is at risk. Right now we have 3 little kids, a pair of twins and 1 single child, and we're worried about them. There's no rainwater, electricity and water keep getting cut off, and if more sanctions come, there will be no medicine at all. Where are we supposed to get medicine from? Even now, when I go to get Iranian medicine, they tell me, "Ma'am, it's not available."
The sanctions came back in force overnight from Saturday to Sunday. Tehran residents say they fear deeper economic pain, with local currency already nosediving. Iran's government calls the move unjustifiable and says the existing U.S. sanctions are already tougher than the ones being restored.
The government's top priority should be its own people, not other countries. This whole situation harms our people. Right now, everything is tied to the dollar. That means people are struggling, even with their daily living expenses. There's nothing more to say. Everything is clear.
UN inspectors remain blocked from visiting key nuclear site attacked in June. The fate of Iran's enriched uranium stockpile is still unclear. Officials in Tehran continue to downplay the impact, but citizens worry the economy will worsen under renewed global pressure. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Ibrahim Said.
And now to good news for Arsenal fans. A dramatic finish at St. James Park last night as Arsenal snatched a stunning 2-1 victory over Newcastle United. Defender Gabriel was the hero, raising high to head home the winner in the 96th minute, silencing the home crowd and keeping the Ghana title hopes alive. The late goal came after a fierce battle, with both sides pushing for dominance. Arsenal now sits firmly in the race, while Newcastle is left to reflect on what might have been done. Gabriel scores a 96-minute winner. The Gunners edge Newcastle 2-1 in a thriller Premier League clash. Arteta's men stay in the title race as fans are left stunned. And that brings us to the end of our today's edition. I'm your Ambassador Susan Nganga, and this has been The Ambassador on GBS TV Africa. Stay with us for continuous updates throughout the day, and be sure to join me every Monday and Tuesday, 1 p.m. and 9 p.m. as we continue to debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. Thank you for your time and company. Until next time, have a good afternoon.
Everywhere, GBS.